Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case with more explosive fireworks and turbulence within the community itself amongst people who are all for justice for Noah Presgrove. All kinds of conflict going on, supposedly Gian Fiorillo being blocked by Michael Facecas, as what some have said. But what the hell's going on? What's gone down in recent times? Supposedly on the army page. Today I'm just going to be showing you some screenshots, raw reactions from me to process and understand in the moment and add on with additional thoughts if needed, presenting it to you, the viewer, who may not have access to it most of the time, with it being on certain Facebook pages. Of course, in the past we've had the mass exodus of people being kicked, removed for all kinds of reasons. So it does make it harder to track it all, but along the way, things are being passed on and shared about, spread a little bit of awareness. But what is the awareness more so? To spread awareness of destruction, to enhance it further? No, just to simply put it back into perspective that things and moments like this can happen and will happen, and it can be within the case. I'm guessing to do with Elisha, Lee, Caden Pressey, the CCTV footage of Kathy Bingham coming on down, what I've been looking at in recent time, the video feeds, what I have done the last 2 days worth or so. And that's what we need to, continue on with. It's just the right time, the right place. If you haven't already seen my previous videos for the full context, be sure to check them out as well. There will be a link to them amongst many of the videos in my full playlist on the case, and you'll be able to find that top right corner screen where the eye symbol is up there. Shout out, credit to Tim Daniel, I believe, in recent time for their super chat. Very positive to see. If anyone is currently here during the live premiere, welcome. I'll probably set the live premiere back just for tonight, back to normal time, because when I tried experimenting yesterday, it didn't really seem to make a big difference. It's only because of the time zone difference change I thought maybe it would help compensate, but it didn't seem to. So I'll just keep it as it normally is, what I'm aware of and used to. But welcome to those that are currently here right now. Feel free to use the live chat box located on the right hand side of the screen just there. And if you are watching later, you got some afterthoughts, you watch it on catch up, be sure to drop a comment down below under the video and I can check them out at a later point. You'll also find a pinned comment by me too down there if you want to support the channel, such as a PayPal link. In terms of how things have gone in recent time, the theme has been about Caden Pressey and Elisha. And, of course, some people could say, oh, why are we attacking those people? Why are we questioning them? They don't deserve it and whatnot. Why is it so focused and fixed? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm making some predictions, jumping in the head a little bit. Oh, maybe because I've seen the patterns and trends previously when first of all, we were looking at the dark side. Oh, and then I was looking towards the light side, and then the light side got triggered some by that. I thought, oh, you're one-sided, Warlight Wrath. Oh, are we going as much about the light side in recent time? No, we've been focused on Caden Pressey and Elisha. Anyone going to complain again now? Any other people? I wonder. You get what I'm saying? There is a cycle to it all. Finish what you may have started. Do it back-to-back coverage on certain themes and videos. And why? Because then it's just easier to keep up with and there's a better flow to it. From one video to another, yesterday till today, it will link on in some way, right? That's why it's easier. As for like context, keeping up, and even if people have only seen one of the two videos, they can always look back to the previous one or look forwards to the next day to catch up. So, and it's just easier for me. In terms of where this case is at the moment, do I think there is progress? Do I think it's gone backwards? Honestly, what I would say is, I think what's happened was needed. But like with Michael Facecas with those CCTV like clips, the 2-minute, 11-second one, and then in the past that, I don't know, was it 10 seconds, 20-second little clip? Why does Michael have that footage? So Elisha has all of it, or most of it, and then what happened at what point? Did Elisha distribute it out to different people? Is that how Michael attained it? And then it's been drip fed in recent time. See, honestly, Depending on the situation, I would say as long as it ticks the boxes that there's no legal repercussions, there's no legal problems, doesn't harm the case, but you're passionate and you can solve something, you can set the record straight, then you should be doing it as soon as possible. Or is that what could be done? It's kind of like when I've done my videos, my coverage, breaking news and other cases, true crime, missing person ones. As soon as the right people, even family, reached out to me with the material, information, can you do some coverage? Can you set the record straight? Can you make it clear? That's exactly what I did. And it did go a long way and help. I mean, people can choose who they want to reach out to and what, but I mean, just for the little discussion and argument, what I want to put across myself, I don't know if other people agree with it, is regardless of who it is, those that may have feel screwed, used, stabbed in the back within the case community by others because there's been private conversations, intel, information, material, screenshots have been passed on amongst one another, and then another person's leaked it or passed it on to the dark side, whatever you want to call it, wherever else, and people feel used. You should ask yourself, why are you sharing it with other members of the general public? Why are you sharing it with strangers who you've never seen, met before? Not always, but you would tend to put more trust and faith in communicating and passing stuff on to a stranger who may be a part of an authoritative role, a strong presence, whether that be police and other things in between, compared to a just straight up randomer online, on Facebook, on Reddit, on wherever. But you know, if you get close, you do genuinely get on well with someone, there's no harm in sharing within reason. I get that too. But it all comes down to purpose, right? Like when we talked about the purpose of resistance and attacks, what causes it? Why does it happen? Is it necessary? Is there any good that can come out of it? Those that may start problems, stir issues, act out in unnecessary ways. Are they benefiting themselves? Do they really know what they're doing, where they're really at? Or are they just as confused as we are on the receiving end? I did mention it in the past, and I think Justin Roy didn't quite listen to me. Oh, Justin Roy, very disappointed. But like when it came to the psychology behind it of, yes, you can reach out to people, you can share stuff, but do you really know who they are? Is it honestly a good idea? What is the outcome? What is the purpose, motive with sharing stuff onto somebody else? I'm going to give you a very clear example right now. When it came to the Christine Passay Parker missing person case, a woman in Nevada, found, I think it was west of Eugene Mountains at a later point. But along the way, amid search efforts and details along the way, I was the only person covering the case because it wasn't a popular one, okay? Other channels didn't cover it. I did. And why did I cover it? Because I was somewhat interested in it because of the environment, with it being Nevada, kind of like Kenny Veach. I'm familiar with the terrain, how it looks visually, how searches can be done, mapping points and markers out, measuring distance, the likelihood of how far they could have really got based on them walking about aimlessly, that they had some kind of psychological issues or damage due to the past, injury sustained to do with the brain, memory, forgetting, panicking, fight or flight, more flight, moving on, moving away. Car found stuck or parked, Eugene Mountains, nowhere to be seen, phone or wallet found on the floor. Oh, unusual behaviour? No, because when they're in the condition that they're in, when they've not been taking their medication, which was the case for like the last week or two, bound to have side effects and consequences. One of the part of the main reasons to why they went missing and unfortunately succumbed to the environment, what they were in, and in a hopeless situation. I covered that case from start to finish. Wasn't a long one, but it was an important one. And along the way, the family members, close family members of Christine Passay Parker reached out in different ways and shared information, gave updates, assisted and helped. Because at the end of the day, any help, any awareness could go a long way. Just because I'm in the UK the coverage that I do could catch the interest of somebody else out there that's never heard of the case before, comes along to see my video, and they themselves could be a turning point, a catalyst behind helping the case as well. A chain reaction. You bring in the right people, they can help it too. Kenny Veach case, I do my coverage. It inspires other locals and people out there in Nevada to possibly hike, use my map, hike routes properly done, and get back safely. And then they've got their own material, they've got their own coverage, and then they can do their own channel and continue it on. It's a chain reaction. There is a process and order to it. There's a motive to begin with, and then a long-term outcome as well. It's under control. But I don't think other people out there have it under control within different communities. Hence why it kind of breaks down and becomes a bit of a waste of time and all that effort for what exactly. So with Christine Passé Parker case, family reaching out with the information to me, that obviously helped me get a better understanding of the case and what was going on. So then I could do better videos, more accurate, complement that with the map analysis and much more, and mark things off the list, get a visual idea of what the place looks like on ground level, the likelihood of where they could be, the timing of where certain things happened, and where the dogs could have been as well, and much more. And in the end, it was solved. Not a good outcome, but it was solved. And guess what? Where they were found is arguably where I predicted. So there you go. So based off that, the communication there, all good, all positive. Community, because it was small scale, not toxic whatsoever. Outcome not good, but you just base it off the process along the way. So in terms of that example, you applied it to the Noah Presgrove case. Stranger meets stranger, passes on key valuable information and screenshots, but for what reason exactly? What does it actually do? Besides the possible chance or risk of one stabbing the other in the back, and then what, you feel hurt, it harms the case, so it just causes lots of drama and conflict. Just doesn't seem like there's a long-term goal or outlook there. If you're just sharing it with friends and people you know, what, in private more so? But do you really know those people? Can you really get on well with those people? Can you really trust those people? See, the thing is with me, and yeah, I'm saying it myself, but I base it off feedback, I based it off my encounters in general, that I have a 100% trust rate in terms of when people may reach out to me, but it's done in such a steady, casual way in which if people want to reach out, then they can. I don't pounce on people, okay? Sometimes my eyes might be looking right into that camera and it looks like I'm about to claw at something, but no. It's all stable here, isn't it? So when it comes to that situation, the contrast to it, such as with the Dylan Rounds case, other people were pouncing at the parents, harassing them, and other locals and whatnot. I stayed back. I kept my head down because I'm quiet, because I'm shy. I've got different methods. I do my coverage. And yeah, based off what I did and how I acted, could have been considered the way my personality is or behavior. It's limiting, it reduces me from doing this or that, or it's not as effective as other people that are harder hitting and harder pushing. Yet because what I did was more unique and separate, it actually brought people to me, the right people at the right time, with some important information and evidence along the way. Even to the very end, when it came to some little clues about where his body actually was, and then I pinpointed it, and I was the first one to publicly announce it, even though most humans out there will never know, which is unfortunate. But the dates do not lie when you look at when the videos were uploaded, such as mine. But people reached out to me because they felt comfortable to, it was the right time. And then slow conversations, communication, very clear, very controlled, and it worked out, no problems. And of course, if I did a video shortly afterwards and the way other people reacted, yeah, there could be tension, there could be conflict, but that's external. It did not seep into the conversations with whoever I may have been coming across at the time. So it can be stable. In terms of the Noah Presgrove case, if people have reached out, that's obviously a big positive, and yeah, that's kind of like what's happened in a way. But it's been more so to some extent, more like just general public, in which some may be in contact or on behalf of. When I say a person of interest, I don't mean someone suspicious, I just mean a key person in the case, or someone who's connected with a key person within the case, second-hand, third-hand, third party on that basis. And the communication there is pretty clear, simple. There are screenshots, it's cropped, or not cropped in that sense, but cropped down, so the aspect ratio is just perfect for viewing. Certain words are highlighted, that goes a long way. It's just down to the efficiency behind it. But I think it's just a true measure, and it applies to the channel as well. Okay, we come across knobheads, there's still some knobheads about, I can see them myself, I can sense them, but most people are good here, and in the past as well, and those in the background too. Good people present, but that can also be subconsciously, like when you say birds of a feather flock together, normally when we talk about that line, that's meant elsewhere for the worst, not good outcome. But in this situation, a magnetizing effect in not directly hand picking manually, but it just happens itself, where the right people come on in, and that's like the audience, the right people come on in, the right people remain for as long as they can or want, and it's all fine. And then the same with those that reach out too. If it's forced or rushed, you might not get a good outcome. If you force it, push it, you may push people away, and that's what others have done in this case, why Bridge has been burnt down. See, to some extent, maybe it probably still would have come out, but maybe just at a slightly later point, and maybe not on every page or community. But if I didn't do what I did, those bridges would still have been burnt down amongst other people, that some of those Snapchat posts would never have been released on YouTube, right? Or probably would have been greatly delayed. So by doing what I did and what I do, it's enabled more material to come out within this case and for more awareness to be spread. But the situation where we're at now, more and more people are questioning Caden Pressey within reason, like when it comes to the timeline, when it comes to the Mikey Lair Snapchat conflicting post, massive, an actual photo-based evidence with a timestamp, visual evidence, hard evidence, so what we can look at a photo and it tells a story. I'd say that's rather important in my opinion. And it's had a chain reaction, a massive chain reaction since, and that's all, or mostly, because of me airing it for the first time on YouTube because of other key people that reached out. So I'm not always the catalyst, I'm not always the originator, but I'm a part of a journey in which before and after things happen, okay? You know, when people say on YouTube, oh, the customer is always right, as in the audience members, not members as in members, but just like audience people, always listen to them, this and that. I think it's quite underestimated that, because being realistic, if you think about it, when it comes to certain audience members that may reach out with information and intel, they are the reason why another video comes out. Yeah, I know I've got to record it and talk and edit and do all that, but the idea or the material wasn't there, then I simply can't do the video. So that's just being realistic. If you wanted to go as deep as possible and say, yeah, oh, look at that video in the past, it might have got 60, 80,000 views, but half of that was because of a viewer that gave the idea or mentioned, passed on something. So whilst I am the creator, I am the channel owner. You could say at times, like, people that watch and reach out, they're on the same level. There's no like hierarchy in that sense. And I think when it comes to true crime cases, you do need a handful of people, right? Whether you call that monitoring, observing, reposting, refreshing, archiving, passing on, redistributing stuff out like screenshots, pictures and whatnot, because one person could possibly get a hold of it, but how long will that take? So it does go a long way. And whilst you've got that within the different communities on Facebook and Reddit, that's limited as in too many people, higher chances and risk of sometimes conflict coming out about it. And I think that's what's kind of happened just recently. And they're the screenshots of what we're going to take a look at today. I just wanted to work around it amongst the theme in general, how it compares and what it's like at times. But like, the one thing that hasn't happened, and it probably won't, is if you had, you know, key people within this case, also on the receiving end, like the victims ones, that said, hey, here's this or here's that, we need awareness, we need a record set straight, do it. It's not happened, but it has, but in a very casual way, which is interesting. But obviously each people with each case can react and act differently. It's not always going to be the same. So like comments by Robin Smith, very important, but they were just made public on my channel. So that's how I covered it and then looked into it further. And then points made, like the key one by Victor Presgrove, that wasn't about setting the record straight absolutely public. It was more so a conversation in the background with another person, and then the awareness was spread from there on publicly. So you could say, and it's not like as an insult, but as the victim's family, Noah Presgrove's family, they do things their way, which works best for them and the case in terms of the surface level communication wise, or wanting a voice, or wanting things to be spread, or for the record to be set straight amongst a platform or a different one, or amongst a creator. Not quite there, but that's fine, because what's compensated for it would be other people within the community or those connected with those on behalf of somebody else acting, and that's helped as well. And look, this is the thing, we've always said it, others some greatly underestimate, is that you take away all the screenshots, you take away Facebook. Oh, does that mean there's no videos? No, there can still be videos, it'll just be more outside of the box. It would encourage one to do more theory-based videos, which, yeah, it would get people rolling their eyes back like they're having an exorcism. But if we get heavy on theory-based videos, which I did in 2022, at some point I'll end up being right because I've looked at every possible theory. But amongst doing it for so long, you really do whittle it down to the likelihood of what could have happened. I'm not doing it as heavy in this case because there are more people to look at, and there's conflict and discrepancies as well, so it's kind of like doing a clear up job there. If the case was a little bit more simple, or there was less people but there was still a mystery, well then you probably could do more theory-based videos. And to be honest, there's like waves and blocks of different theory-based ones, as in the causes of death, and then the times of death, and then the location of death. It's like split up into different categories. So there is a lot more depth to this case in particular. But if I joined late, would I be able to keep up? How long would it take to catch up with everything, to learn what was once said and what's the deal now and things in between? I think it could be somewhat difficult. So yeah, I joined late anyway, you know, in June 1st, 2024. But if I joined any later, I think it would have been almost like a headache type thing, trying to process it all in a small space of time. I just jump on into a case and try and learn on the spot. That's where you get the raw reactions. And once again, that's where it links into today's video. Raw reactions between the likes of Michael Face, Kaz, Jan Fiorillo, maybe Justin Roy, anybody else in between amidst what's recently gone down on Facebook. I think it's now time we take a look and see, how bad it's getting. Here we are with the first one, post or so on the Noah Presgrove Army page 1 hour ago, or at least at the time of whenever it happened, either earlier today or yesterday. I'll zoom in if necessary. Of course, with it being Jan Fiorillo's post comment, we're not going to be able to fit it all onto one screen. There's a couple of them, and then there's comments in response. Jan says, if the person who allegedly sent a video to Kathy Bingham, the family's private investigator showing Noah's black shorts being removed at the scene, truly exist, I'm asking you to please come forward. If you don't want to come forward personally, please consider sending the video anonymously to a credible news outlet or reporter. If this video is real, it could be critical to understanding what happened and ensuring justice is served. If the person that sent it to Kathy Bingham, what are we talking about? A truck driver? Because wasn't that mentioned or suggested previously? A trucker or so who's by the side and had the phone down, pointing at the ground, looking up and down so it didn't look too suspicious. There are claims that Kathy Bingham showed this video to Elisha while sitting on the press's patio. Let's try to keep an open mind and use critical thinking. None of us were there except for Kathy, Elisha and Scott. Patio surveillance footage only shows Kathy briefly holding her phone up for about 3 seconds. It's not possible to determine what was on the screen based on that footage, nor does the audio. The conversation between the two describes a highway scene where Noah's shorts are being removed by anyone, including Ellie or volunteer firefighters, after Kathy shows Elisha an image/video clip live photo from her phone. Well, at least what we've seen and previously seen in the past could well be a live photo. If it was just a photo, it was definitely a live one, because there was definitely movement when Kathy showed it to Elisha, and Elisha made a reference of, oh, is that like a police guy or a police officer? And Kathy said, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, the mention of police, what's that got to do? That's quite significant in the case. We talk about police that were there on the scene at an appropriate time or in an earlier time before, official people reported it into the police dispatchers. So I think that's quite important. But what we do also need to acknowledge as open mind or so is that we've only seen a very small portion of the CCTV footage. If they were there for 2 hours and there's almost like 2 hours worth of footage, how much have we seen of the 2 hours? We've seen like nearly 3 minutes, and that's all. Who knows what else was shared as for within the conversations amongst them? Who knows what else was shown on the phones? We just don't know. But those that do, who were there and have it recorded, they will know. And if anyone's had it passed on in between and is slowly drip feeding it, may know as well. But as for everybody else, we're only seeing little drip feeds of it, and that just doesn't help. If someone truly sent this video to Kathy, they could prove it. They could share a screenshot of the message or direct message where they sent the video. They originally shared it with the intention of helping the family or investigation. It stands to reason that they also want to ensure law enforcement receive it. Maybe they assumed Kathy would pass it along to authorities. Yeah, maybe the person wanted to pass it on to somebody else like a messenger without having to hand it directly into police themselves, because they think there could be some kind of backlash or follow-up on themselves and they didn't want to be questioned too much. They wanted to remain out of it, out of the picture, but get somebody else to do the main work for it. Maybe so they could feel a bit safer. Okay, maybe they assumed, yeah. But if the person now believes Kathy lied about receiving it, wouldn't they feel obligated to speak up? Said record straight. Why would Kathy lie if she knew the sender could easily expose her by showing proof of the message, or like the exchange? Kathy has stated clearly that she never received any video at the scene, and certainly not one showing no shorts being removed. Not from law enforcement, not from volunteer firefighter, not from anyone. Kathy nor the family also never received copy of the video that Donna Bond claims to have seen also. Yeah, so the one what Donna Bond has claimed to have seen or described was to do with Noah with no shorts on and I believe no shoes either. So at what time would that be then? Because at least when Kate and Pressy saw Noah and when police officials saw Noah afterwards at the right time, Noah was always wearing a pair of mismatched shoes. So at what point did they get taken off? She's also said she would never withhold such important evidence from law enforcement or Noah's family. Doing so would go against her professional ethics and put her PI license and potentially her freedom at risk. In the patio footage, Elisha tells Kathy there was supposedly a video of Noah's shorts being taken off, and that it may have come from a service truck driver or someone else. Yeah, I kind of heard about that. But where did Elisha get that information from? Well, I was thinking maybe from Caden, if, some days, weeks, months back, and when Kathy had interviewed Caden on 2 separate occasions, if one of those 2 times behind Elisha's back, footage was shown there, longer length, so Caden saw more of it compared to what Elisha did. And then Caden described it to Elisha, and then when Kathy came on down, then Elisha described it to Kathy. You could see the chain reaction, but due to Kathy's, reactions and behaviour, not like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, Elisha. Yeah, I showed your son Caden that previously. We didn't get that type of communication, or at least in the footage, what we saw. What else do we have here? Did it come from Donna Bond? Did Donna tell Shannon Scott, who then told Elisha? Who first claimed there was a video taken on the highway of law enforcement or volunteer firefighters removing Noah shorts? Well, Jan Fiorillo. The way I first heard about it was actually from Michael Fazkaz, that did a post on Facebook talking about it, mentioning how he hasn't seen the video himself, but I guess he's been told by others who have. In fact, there was like 3 people that had copies of the footage, and then 1 person, the original, with the original time and date and everything. And that was said early on. And then later in that leaked interview by Caden, we actually heard Caden say the same thing. So it was rather interesting, that. So I heard Michael Fazkaz post about it first, from my experience. Does anyone else? What else? Elisha and Caden initially thought it was Stevie Howard's brother-in-law, JM, a volunteer firefighter who was standing near the service truck talking to Jack when Caden arrived. Caden described the semi-truck he saw as a box truck, not the OPA crude hauler that was officially documented. So was it the TF volunteer firefighter near the service truck, or the driver of the box truck who allegedly found and shared this video? Caden said when he left there was 3 people on scene, though he never saw the semi-driver. So who took the video? Would a volunteer firefighter record? Move on to the next slide. And then Donna Barton, I guess within the comment section, says, I don't even know if I should bring this up. I really don't know if it exists or not. But if I'm correct, the reason I thought it existed was because everything I have read, not just one video, but 2 different videos have been talked about. They were supposed to be from different angles. Well, I've heard that myself. Like one from a high up, like passenger of a big truck, and then the other one was described as if trying to hide the fact that they were recording. I remember hearing that one. Am I missing something, or am I telling this correct? Because the fact I thought 2 different recordings existed, I'm inclined to believe that at least one of them did. Can anyone else help clear the part up? All I can say is, roughly, I do remember hearing along the lines of that. As to where it came up in conversation, I can't remember at this moment. Take in mind that some of these posts, even though they were sent in the correct order, when you save them, for some reason it ends up not being in the correct order. So this, I guess, is continuing on from this possibly. JM. Yes, Ken said when he left there was 3 people on scene. Would anyone remove a deceased person's shorts in full view of a truck driver who might be filming or have a dash cam? Could there have been 3 individuals involved, 2 removing clothing, 1 recording? Was Jack Newton involved since he never left the scene? Could someone have shown up after Caden left just to record something so serious? Kathy has agreed to take a polygraph. She's also agreed to let Elisha identify the phone shown in the surveillance video, and has volunteered both her phones for digital forensics. She offered her devices to 2 law enforcement investigators and recorded the conversations that took place in her office, and I personally listened to that recording. I'm open to discussing all this with anyone willing to do so respectfully, logically, and without bias. We need to be able to talk about these things calmly and clearly, even when we don't agree. Which, based off how things have gone previously, but at least on here it's more under control. Some of the comment responses. I remember a while back someone stated in a post that there was a passenger in the semi-truck that took the video. Jan says no one has come forwards with information or evidence as to the family, the PI or Ellie, that there was a passenger in a semi-truck that took this alleged video, nor has anyone turned in this alleged video to the family or Ellie, according to Kathy and the private investigator, nor her. Until someone is willing to do so, this is just a rumour. Chaz says, I will say this from my own perspective. I've seen the camera footage from the Pressy residence when Kathy Bingham had visited, and her and Elisha were sitting out in the patio area. When Kathy Bingham leans over towards Elisha and briefly shows her the phone screen, you can see a little movement going from left to right. Yes, I've documented it on my channel. Looks like someone wearing a white shirt, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm not claiming anything about the video or videos. I just know the brief movement. Yeah, documented on my channel. Okay, Jan, thank you for participating, Chaz. So what do you prove or disprove to you? From what I can gather from that brief moment, if that was out on the highway where Noah was at, I'd say it's possible that Noah was tampered with, but not probable. We got Brooke, a different Brooke Miller, and from Comanche. Noah was on the same team as my son when we won dual teams state and wrestling in 2020. My daughter graduated with Noah in 2023. My brother-in-law coached Noah in multiple sports. My nephew-in-law also coached Noah in multiple sports. Of course, my family and I have followed Noah's case from day one. As we all were diverted north of Terrell on our way to the airport, not knowing what was going on that morning. Oh, I'll say this, I'm on several pages and there are way too many of them, way too many lies and liars. It's so sad that if someone has a different opinion, they create a summit. John says, thank you for sharing your story and thoughts, Brooke. I agree 100%. Some of these pages have devolved into lies and mudslinging. It's so disrespectful to the cause. Slippery slope when people claim opinions, judgments as evidence and facts. Well, the thing is, it's not become that. It was like that for some time in the past, but just not everybody saw it or was on the receiving end to know about it. To certain extents, the Army page is guilty for that. To some extents, the case discussion page is guilty for that. And in other ways, on some Reddit pages, guilty for it. And then that third problematic group page, problematic for it. I've seen it. I've made my predictions with time. That's why it doesn't surprise me that much. It's when people come along down the line and throw everybody in the bed and say, oh, we can all do better. We can all do this. Oh, we've all done this. Oh, we've all done that. No, some of us have just got better standards. That's just how it goes. Anyway, moving on. Comanche. Yeah, when we get involved. This is a continuation of what was said in that person's post. Too many lies and opinions. Placing blame isn't helping solve the case, and Dan Shaw isn't wanting people to get involved in any way. The only people suffering are Noah's family. I'm all for fighting for justice, but the arguing, creating new pages, constant bickering makes people want to leave the Facebook pages. I've tried to hold on, but I'm not sure how much longer I will last. Yeah. The act of pushing people away from a case, that's how things can die itself. Okay. But absolutely, thank you for continuing to be the voice for Noah. So excited when you got involved because I know you well enough to know that you'll go to your grave fighting for him. Keep up the good fight, Jan. There are a lot more people who support your efforts than not. I never comment on any of the pages, just a silent participant when I have to read comments of others like I read on his post. Okay. There's a lot of more people who's read comments, read on his post anymore. Yeah. Promise Brooke, still moving forwards, huge effort still in progress. Holly, at this point in the Partners in True Crime interview, Kathy hesitated and said, I'm going to turn the picture she received in. She didn't complete her sentence about handing the pic in. She changed and abruptly said, any of the authorities can have her phone instead of completing handing it in what she had. She never confirmed a video but agreed that the picture was of a uniform at the scene. And that's the one that's shown in the CCTV footage that could link in with a live photo, a bit of movement, but not as a true video, no audio. And then Elisha says, oh, the police guy, uniform, could link before sunrise. She definitely said that. She did say Ellie had been in touch with her in regards to a video, but she said she had never seen it. She spoke about her interview with Ken Press's mother and said Elisha Lee asked if there was audio and she said no. So it was the same interview on the patio, appears to be the one Kathy's talking about in his Partners in True Crime interview. Could be. But it's interesting, she did say Ellie had been in touch with her in regards to a video. What video is that? And then what's that? Oh, is that like a transcript or so? Going to turn it. I mean, the OSBI, FBI, OHP, they can have my phone. I know it's just a screenshot of this, but be careful. Partners in true crime and copyright might get you done just for using a screenshot. Then what do we have here? Trav Davison. Jan Fiorillo is a joke. And it is now extremely clear why none of those kids took her offer. So, one thing that's a little bit embarrassing, but it happens, is you've got a situation like this where obviously Jan Fiorillo actually joined the Noah Presgrove puzzle page with Trav Davison. So you say birds of a feather flocked together, and yet ever since, there's been a bit of conflict amongst one another. Says a lot, doesn't it, in terms of stability or lacking of it. But let's not forget, I don't know if anyone else is aware, but you know who else joined Trav Davidson's group, Noah Presgrove's puzzle? Caden Pressey, of all people. How interesting. Very. Jan's response in regard to what you see here about partners in true crime. Thank you for sharing. Listen to the audio recordings of the current 2HP investigators in Kathy's office, where they're discussing this alleged video where Kathy offers for them to take her phones, where she shows them on her phone in the Messenger app when there's an image was shared to her and that she did not think to screenshot, but now the link to it no longer works. Oh, the link's been expired. Not again. I've personally seen all this on her phone. I'm not the only one. The link was to a YouTube account that was removed for violating community standards. Now, what YouTube account was that? Do we know the name? So it wasn't actually something she could have downloaded. She accepted my offer to do a polygraph, and she is willing to have forensics done on both of her phones. I'll promise this group and anyone reading this, if I uncover any falsehoods, lies, misrepresentations, errors, etc., I'm aware I will always drag it out in the open, even when I can. And if something smells like 4-day-old carp, I'm going to dig into it. I'm going to ask questions. Michael Facecast responds, Kathy has more than 2 phones. Let's make sure the one in the safety deposit box gets turned over to law enforcement, if it's even still there at this point. What's this about? You weren't removed for being skeptical. You were removed because your authoritative and condescending tone was discouraging other skeptics on asking questions or sharing their opinions. Also, you told me something that was strictly confidential, which after verification turned out to be completely fabricated. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound too good. What the hell's going on here? This is where the conflict kicks on in. Seen that. Jan's response, I'm aware and Ellie is aware that Kathy has 2 phones, so your perception of authoritative and condescending tone is now a group rule breaker and grounds for removal and not considered a First Amendment right to freedom of speech, and you're going to imply that I've discouraged others from sharing their opinions. Lol. I do nothing but encourage people to express their uninfluenced, unafraid opinion, theories and thoughts. Oh yeah, Jan Fiorillo, because you go on without doing your research and you fail to do your research on my channel, the process behind it, how I go about stuff, and you start making false claims and very impetuous outlooks when describing my coverage. Oh, I've documented it all on my channel previously, setting the record straight, whilst other people don't do the research. So I don't forget stuff either, right? Yes, you can talk about freedom of speech, but there are times where people will abuse freedom of speech too much, and there needs to be a level of balance there in itself. John says, and did you just call me a liar, Michael? The truth is, I was trying to help give you some insight, and I shared something with you that I told you was strictly confidential. And what did you do, Michael? You broke the confidentiality, screenshot it, and shared it out. You can choose to believe whoever you want to, that is your choice, but the fact and truth and evidence is not to be confused with your beliefs. And if you think Elisha denying something is a complete fabrication you speak of, you're simply choosing a belief without proof or evidence of fact. So you may want to think again before you call me a liar or accuse me of fabricating anything. I have no reason to. Michael Facecast. So, are you calling Elisha Lee a liar? Jan says, nice deflection, Michael, but you're going to have to be more specific, and I advise you to be careful of the questions you ask what you, nor Elisha, may want to answer publicly shown here. Forgot to ask, was Kathy Bingham also being condescending and authoritative and discouraging others from sharing their opinion too? Is that why she also got the boot from your eyewitness page at the same time? Michael, these kinds of veiled comments are exactly what have been made to members. On the page, feel uncomfortable, I'm not here to stir up conflict, but if you're going to mention me, admins or the mods, be prepared for respectful clarification when things are misrepresented. And if you know something I don't, something that would change my perspective, I'd hope you'd tell me directly rather than dancing around and letting me continue under a false impression. Jan responds, there's nothing veiled here, Michael. What are you referring to? I thought I'd been pretty direct, so not here to stir up conflict, huh? What fabrication are you referring to? Please clarify. What have I misrepresented? I provided you with information recently. It's strictly confidential piece of information. Oh boy. Okay, what perspective did that change, Michael? I'm not letting you or anyone else continue under a false impression. As your responsibility to apply rational thought and reasoning before making your assumptions and believing what you choose to believe. You instead choose to believe that I fabricated something. You are the one who kicked me off of your page for sharing my thoughts and opinions that were in opposition to yours. So please don't now claim to be open-minded or somehow letting you continue under a false impression. That is on you. And we all know supposed to worry about what should or should not say if it will make other group members uncomfortable. Are you serious? There we go. Oh, Pam jumps on in as well to Michael. So you're interpreting Jan as being condescending and removing her from the page as respectful clarification? Michael responds, I didn't remove her from the army page. She's still here commenting. Jan was brought up in an admin mod chat regarding the eyewitness page and it was voted on. I know she wasn't removed from army. I was commenting because she said it was removed from the eyewitness page. Crystal? Hoping if the video does exist, whoever is in possession of it does the right thing and turns it over to the LE. And if that's the case, after all this time over a year, if it hasn't been done yet, there's a little bit of incompetence going on, I would say. Personally, I don't believe this particular video exists, neither does Ellie. Now, Donna Bond's video, I'm not sure about. And to be honest, it'd be interesting to know the timing of Donna Bond's video if it's described as Noah's not got any shoes on, not got any shorts on. When was that then? Jan, also, thank you to Michael Facecast, Beth Carr and Laura Dutton for removing me from the eyewitness page, apparently for asking too many questions and debating as a skeptic. Well, we've known a thing or two about Beth, I crashed my car, two-faced type personality, and we know quite a thing or two about Laura Dutton, their unusual abstract behaviour over time. And then Michael Facecast. Okay. Joni responds, well, ma'am, it is surely sounding as if some certain people are trying to shut you up or shut you out. Kind of like nothing to see here, folks, and keeping the ones of us who honestly want the truth to be told to be kept in the dark, and maybe it will just all go away. I implore you to continue to do your best to bring this atrocity into light and give Noah the justice he deserves. Turn into a big fantasy, hidden facts. Ellie are unexcused for the lack of delivery and transparency, which they may have been doing since the beginning of this horrendous, heinous act that was obviously purposely enacted on Noah. Please do your best. Continues on. Jan, thank you for using your voice to say exactly what you perceive. Yeah. Oh, Beth Carr to Jamie, exactly. And Jan ran to her defence and back to lies. Kathy should just turn it over to the family. Should have already, since she's working so hard for Noah's family, instead of saying she will take a polygraph and just wish it away in hopes everyone will forget. Jan says to Jamie, that's a lot of accusations, so please clarify. First, Ellie has to have a warrant to use, Stingray to access suspect's phone. Second, they wouldn't need a warrant or Stingray device, well, because Kathy willingly offered her phones to Ellie. Right. Possession where Kathy met Ross and Wallace in Kathy's office. This conversation took place about the alleged video image on her phone. Kathy actually called it a moving picture because she said it was so brief Right, a moving picture which can also be a live photo, which, for example, is available on iPhone. I've, done it myself. I think it's pointless, but yeah, you got that option. Kathy actually called it, video. Officer Ross says, oh, you mean a live photo? And I can tell you, Ellie knows Kathy does not have a crime scene video showing Noah's black shorts being removed or so. Third, do you have any proof where Kathy said she never went to the Pressies? Fourth, do you have proof Kathy has 3 phones? No proof going to the Pressies. We've seen bloody CCTV footage of it, haven't we? Fifth, do you have proof Kathy attacked you, investigated you and doxed you? 6, are you saying that you can ascertain from the Pressies CCTV footage that Kathy is actually showing a video of the crime scene and you can clearly see when someone is removing no shorts? I couldn't personally. 7, Jamie, are you making a statement of fact that you have seen 2 hours of CCTV footage from Kathy's visit on the Pressies patio that day, and that Kathy shows this less than 3-second video live photo moving picture? Yeah. Please, Jamie, if you have any evidence to support your claims. Depends how some people talk. Beth, exactly why hasn't Kathy ever turned any of this over to the family? Oh, now the link has strangely disappeared. Why didn't she turn it over before she even showed it to Elisha? Wait, so now we're not dealing just with Elisha and Caden phone data analysis, links being expired to family, but also Kathy Bingham links. Oh my God. Michael Fazekaz, I just want the truth out no matter who is exposed. If Jan or Pam have some sort of dossier on everyone, lay it out. I think not coming clean with damaging evidence is wrong. What is it you have? Pam to Jan. Jan did nothing wrong. She made a request on behalf of other people. She even responded on the army page, but she didn't feel right doing it either. That is on Jan and I, and because we felt manipulated and why we're speaking out now and refusing to do it again. She felt like her friendship with me was being used, and I felt the same regarding my friendship with you. You've always been your own person, and I apologise for using our friendship to request you do things that you may not want you to do. You've been making some really good content, and I want others to have the benefit of hearing your theories. Wait, what? Trav Davison to Pam. Stop defending Elisha and Caden. They are liars, and they were a mile down the road when Noah died. I mean, these outbursts and capital letters, a shouty tone. 1 hour ago. Attention, I will not be deleting anything from my page or YouTube channel about Caden or Elisha. As a matter of fact, I will be going 100 times harder on those 2 from now on. Oh, really? So you're not going to be obsessing about me anymore? Well, that'd be a fucking miracle, won't it? Because they're my main suspects in whatever happened to Noah since they lied about the phone forensics. Furthermore, for Jan to be instructing Pam not to share audio recordings that portray Elisha as being a very shady liar. Very suspicious in my opinion. Okay, so what's his comment in regard to? So Pam, just curious if you know why you got the beat from the eyewitness page or the case page. Do you suppose all the phone call recordings have anything to do with it? And will you confirm here for all to see? That is a personal favour asked by me. You have not shared your audio recordings of conversations between you and Elisha, and you have been instrumental in asking Trav and Criminals Hate Me YouTube channel to delete some of his post videos that have shown Caden and or Elisha in a poor light. Jen responding to Pam. Okay. Within the comments of the post, Pam responds to Trav, I'm not defending them until they produce digital forensics. It's just claims and stories. No different than Jack Newton, Avery Cairns, Carter Cairns, Brown Sweat, Isaac Rojas, Mikey Lair, Logan Jernigan, Jasmine Milan, and anyone else that was there, but they don't need to show me or prove anything to me. Noah's family are the ones that deserve answers. And how many answers have they truly received? Of course, thank you Michael Fazekaz and Justin Roy for all of your hard work. It's not easy making difficult decisions when you're outnumbered, but all you do it with pride. Noah and his family are very blessed to have both of you working so hard for justice, and throughout all these slippery slopes, threats and attacks, kudos to you and your army. We have boots on the ground justice for Noah. And whilst Beth Carr makes that announcement, I don't think all of Noah's family members will be too appreciative though, as we've seen in the past. Jamie, Kathy has 3 phones, not 2. One, she said, locked away in the security box, which probably had the video, and the one with the video is probably long gone by now. none of which she had shared with Ellie as part of her interview with Partners in True Crime interview, or her evidence findings, who stated herself, which already 10 months after Noah's passing, Kathy attacked me, investigated me, doxed me, called me a liar when I said... Right, so what Jamie Cooney says here is what we saw a bit earlier on, where Jan Fiorillo was asking for confirmation and proof of, do you know, are you for certain? Jan Fiorillo to Beth, I don't back anyone who lies. Beth, you best check yourself before you accuse me of anything deceitful again. Best for you to never mention my name in any of your comments again. You are all spreading rumours and hearsay as facts. That's a real problem here. But I will be honest, as an observation, Jan Fiorillo was extremely problematic with their analysis of me and my channel and coverage. Absolutely pathetic, as we've seen. But the same applies to Pam and applies to a coven of people. Right? Just observation based, that's all. Jamie Cooney, so Beth Carr. I get along with you both and I have built a relationship, with Jan. Respect her and believe she has good intentions. I don't know what's going on. I want to be involved. I don't want to be involved. Now I can't say the same for Kathy, but I did not ask or know she was removed from the page group until after the fact. Although I personally agree with the decision. Jan, I'm sorry, I'm really busy at the moment with business and everything. Okay. State publicly, she never went into the pressies, never showed them a picture. Well, that's bollocks, because we've seen the CCTV footage. Actual hard evidence of that, at least. Okay. No attacks, lies on Caden, unprofessionalism, but it's your choice what you believe, what you associate with and trust, just as it is mine. I'm not defending anyone, only keeping the facts separate from her saying rumours. OHP officer Lanier came to Kathy's office to retrieve all of that information. Kathy was out of town the day he finally showed up, as he did not give her any notice. She tried to follow up with him afterwards. Lanier was not interested. Kathy finally reached and called investigators Wallace and Ross, who finally came to her office, where this audio recording of meeting took place, and I have it in my possession. Kathy gave them everything she had that day and they took it with them. She initiated the meeting and not the other way around. I do not give two shits who's lying, only that they're lying and why. Trust me, Jamie, I could reveal a lot more than I have, as it's shocking to comprehend how many lies have been told in all of this, and sometimes for no apparent reason. But it serves no good purpose to intentionally humiliate or publicly harass people until and unless I'm in a position to have to defend myself. Right, so if there are major issues at hand and more major lies at hand, instead of actually publicly releasing or talking about it, we'll just continue to keep people in the dark and confused. Yeah, it sounds a bit practical, that. The difference is with me. When breaking news comes about, it will be covered. You know, like you look back to the Kenny Veach case. Oh yeah, there was a mystery about a reptilian eye, really dark, really secretive, really explosive in material and interest. I could have just let it run with it and not cleared it up. But I did the right thing. As soon as the idea came about, the true idea, the true explanation, the context, the psychology behind it, I did a video debunking it. Oh, is that shooting oneself in one's foot because it ends that mystery, it ruins it? What would you want? The mystery to continue on and people are confused and intrigued? And what, the other person holds back with the intel information and just lets everyone be blind sheep? I don't think that's a good idea. It's not exactly healthy. Well, you know, differs from person to person, case to case. Okay, Kathy's still doing interviews for the family, and this online defamation is inhibiting her and the family's pursuit of truth and evidence. But we've not actually really seen the family speak out or complain. If people have actual proof, that's a different story, but there is none here that I've seen, just a lot of insinuations, innuendos, and publicly persuaded opinions, prejudice, and biasness. Oh God, bias. Yeah, we've seen that where I've covered it from both sides, both perspectives, all perspectives, and I've been called biased. It's absolutely pathetic. Beth Carr, I'm very busy as well, not interested in drama. Really, Beth Carr? You're not interested in drama? You say one thing previously on my channel, you say another elsewhere. Part of the problem. Can't even acknowledge it. Very problematic. It was a Greek vote. Tell them to pony up the proof to back those allegations. Whoa, Pam. Hold on, Pam. Tell them to pony up What, gallop up with the horse? Ride that horse? Careful, Pam. You might start triggering or bringing back up those bestiality, zoophilia fantasies in which you falsely accused me of when it came to that space hopper, which you thought was a real horse. Let's not forget that one. Yeah, saddle on up. Oh my goodness. Holly to Jan, it's so sad. I hope Noah's family see they deserve. Why would anybody lie in such a tragic situation? Not defamation if it's true, and I assure you I'm honest as they come. Honest as they come. So what? When you mention about, supposedly Kathy not being at the Pressy household, but we've seen CC2 footage. How do you explain that? It goes on and on and on, to be honest. Applying logic and rational thoughts, debating issues, clarification, and whatnot. Yeah, why would Kathy show crime scene video of Noah Shorts being removed by Vontaire to the Pressys to begin with, to then hide it from Noah's family? Yeah, who you show it to first? A little bit questionable. Okay. Third, if you don't want to hear what I have to say, then block me. Let's go, I'm not judged, now let's move on. Attacking others isn't my intentions at all. Well, Beth Carr, you've already done that in the past, so in no position to be talking. Simmer down. John Fiorillo to Trav Davison. One of many differences between you and I, Trav. I consider the fallout to my words and actions and have no interest in bringing hurt and pain onto others unnecessarily. Well, John Fiorillo, you joined Trav Davison around the time when Trav Davison was attacking and threatening me, so birds of a feather flock together. It's not a good look, is it? And then your false claims, Jan, about my channel and my coverage. People are in no position to be talking when I see all this. I'll be honest with you. Like, I've analysed humans over time. I've seen the behaviour, I've seen the patterns, trends, and people jump ship, pledge allegiance one way to one master, go elsewhere to another, become a slave, indoctrinated, and then come out as a new person, fresh. Oh, I've changed. Oh, my intention. Oh, I'm an individual, independent person. It's just too predictable, the behaviour of humans over time. That's why it bores me, if I'll be honest with you. John says, I also don't put words in others' mouths, nor do I claim. Oh, you don't put words into other people's mouths, but you definitely got tunnel vision behaviour when it came to analysing me. I've documented on my channel selective hearing as well. And when we tried going round and round in circles, you still wouldn't understand. I made it as clear as possible in my videos, in my response to comments. You just did not understand. What's this? Potentially the catalyst. Oh, using more like ref terminology there. So on the scared law. You get a second chance in the Noah community that you are now calling jokes because Payne used the credibility with the community to help you. A second chance? What was the second chance? What was the first mistake made? See, I've seen problematic people early on and not everybody believed or listened to me. So there we go. I advised her against it. You do not care who you trample on or who you may be emotionally damaging and how reckless and irresponsible your words, posts and comments are. You don't seem to care if you claim complete made-up fiction and facts. But we've had people in the past. We had Amy Tuesday, Hozempa and others bowing down and praying to Trav Davison. Do people not even research? Do people not even remember the time where Trav Davison was just spazzing out, saying to everyone, I'm going to sue you, just because you mentioned this or that? I didn't even mention the person's name. I didn't show the person's face in the video. Still threatened to sue me in a very stupid way. Do people remember that? Are there witnesses right now watching? Do you remember that? Oh, is that just forgotten about? And then people then start bowing down to them? It's weird, very unusual and dodgy. So it continues on. No receives justice or the peace and truth family deserves ever uncovered. You certainly not here for the victim and his family because I assure you they do not appreciate you and your methods. I think it's pretty self-explanatory based on the person's behaviour. What we've seen, sexual deviant activity, threats made towards me, location threats as well, connections with others, embarrassing. And putting words into my mouth about Gollum, never mentioned that about the name association, mentioned it about someone in the past, another problematic person. There's a lot of tunnel vision, obtuse mindsets, which I've seen in this case, unfortunately. I didn't send you a screenshot, Michael, of me offering to pay for Caden, an attorney, and digital forensics. That Elisha said in comments never happened. Did you forget that? Pam records most all of her phone conversations with whoever she speaks to regarding Noah's case. Ooh, gotta be careful there. Is every person aware that it's being recorded to not only protect herself, but also to help in her note-taking. Don't try to create some nefarious BS blackmail intent, and damn sure don't drag me into it. I wasn't involved in what took place between Pam and Elisha and you, but I know Elisha was calling Pam a liar, and Pam was recording in DMs to back up the truth. It's not a good look for Elisha. The actual truth is, I selfishly asked Pam not to pose because it put me in the middle of a bad situation. Won't make that mistake again. You can go on with your nefarious BS scenarios and accusations that you put out without freaking trying to prove. Elisha is not the victim here, and she never has been blackmailed. You're the last person who needs to explain the law to me, Michael. Spin that BS somewhere else. Oh, the last person to explain the law is what? Is that because Michael's got in trouble in the past or something? Okay, it continues on. What credibility you had is gone. So the cracks are opening up, I guess. Michael Faith's response. She didn't need your money to pay for it, as she already had the money to do it, and at the top point had already been done. I don't think there was a lot of trust to allow you to play that role. And to Michael, try again, check the dates and timestamps when I made the offer to her. Oh, you mean the money the generous army members donated to them, thinking they would get the evidence to the family to help that? No, justice. Money she already had. Maybe I should share recent requests for help with digital forensics, or how about the months and months of DMs, texts and phone calls between Elisha and I? But so we're clear, Elisha trusted George Choden, a complete stranger, allegedly from Canada. You're an ex-con and stranger from Oregon, and a lady from California, all of whom she's never met, is not from our community, has no affiliation to Noah's family, but you want to throw some shade down here on me about trust, who, by the way, has broken the trust with any of you. You best stop, buddy. You're not helping Elisha like you think you may be. My patience has limits. And that's about it there. A lot of wild stuff going on, and supposedly, I guess after this conversation exchange, Michael Faith has blocked Jan Fiorillo. So very wild times within the community itself amongst the case ongoing. As for the justice page, the family-run one, that's still going along in the background, not really been impacted or affected by drama and conflict because I guess there's stricter moderation over there. So at least there's some control and stability somewhere, just like to some extent how it was in the Dylan Rouse case. I think there are positives in some way. If you got a page, a main page, which is heavily moderated and restricted, maybe not as much freedom of speech, maybe you can't do as much or say as much, might feel like a negative, but because it's more controlled, it's less chaotic. And then you've got the other spectrum of freedom of speech, but then you've got two variants. Freedom of speech, where it could be a bit more selective, that has its own problems, but then it also has the problems of drama and conflict because of what can be said and what can be done, and it diverts attention and focus away from the main things at hand. Then you've got the other variant of freedom of speech as much as possible until people start abusing it a bit too much. That there are waves of chaos, but it will squash with time simply because of pure stamina. Shout out to Classy, the horse whisperer, last night. Long time viewer. And it does need to be acknowledged because like when we talk about the theme of people on different pages, communities going in different areas, locations, right? Even if there are opposing pages, opposing channels who I might detest, etc. in different cases. And then you'll get viewers on here that may go elsewhere because they want to. That's understandable, no pressure. But Classy Colt, or Classy the Horse Whisperer, is a perfect example of a person that never caused me trouble, at least to what I can remember. Never caused me any problems, but they did have the choice themselves to go where they want, watch the videos they wanted, such as with the Dylan Rounds case. And the reason why it's so important is because if I did ever run into trouble with other people or other channels, even if they supported them or, you know, like Classy went elsewhere and watched, didn't get in the way, there was no conflict, I didn't get in the way of her, they didn't get in the way of me, I did what I needed to do at times, and it was all good. Same can't be said about some other people, other cretins, Let's not forget Indiana 59, some questionable person from the UK. Ugh! Need to cleanse myself of the dirt. Wretched humans over time and many more. But their behaviour, they were the Black Widow as an example, what I predicted, what I felt would happen. But oh, they're okay with my channel, but the moment I defend myself against another channel out there, which they go to and bow down to, oh, now it's a problem. Oh, not allowed to do that. I can't be balanced. Okay, I've got to be very selective. I can question that person. I could be a bit lighthearted about that individual. You'll find it funny, you'll giggle. Oh, but because I'm covering an area where I need to, you're in the way. You're getting in the way. And then there's that conflict and tension. So you can see like there's a contrast there. Does the same happen in the Noah Presgrove case? I don't know, to be honest. I wouldn't say I've analysed it as much as I have done in the past, because it's just a true test that there's been more focus on the case itself. You know, people can talk about conflicts and drama, but you compared the percentage of how much of that has been covered in cases compared to previous cases. There's a big difference, which is a positive. In terms of keeping my head down, I was attacked. In terms of defending myself, no difference. I might as well defend myself. You know, like when people say, oh, don't do this, don't that, just keep moving forward, keep quiet. The problem doesn't go away, it still continues on. So I should have at least the ability to defend myself when needed. But that being in mind, turbulent time at this moment, some people turning on one another. I always find it very interesting to measure the responses, like negative outlooks, anything else in between, because it's like questioning, you know, out of it all and what's going on, did people think of one another in a certain way early on, or did it just come about in recent time? Did you put feelings aside, even if you couldn't stand someone, because of the case, for the case, to work alongside people just because of the case and whatnot? But then when that gets in the way, or that's not possible, then you eventually reveal your true thoughts about people. But you can see the time wastage, you know, if it's like, oh, I want to pounce on you right now and give you a paintbrush so you can paint a nice perfect little picture of a flower somewhere, or paint a picture of a peach. Well, there you go. We're going to rush at you because here's the paints, here's the palette. I want you to be able to get it done as fast as possible so you can get a nice picture. There's a level of passion behind it. There's a level of meaning and depth and whatnot. But then, you know, if it's like, oh, I'm not going to pounce on you right now. I'm not going to hand you the paint. Instead, I'm going to give you a pig and a frog, okay? I'm not even going to tell you it's disease-ridden. But then down the line, when you do get petty or become a bit of a problematic prick, add that to the glossary, Sourwood, is, oh, now we'll tell you that the frog has got herpes. The frog's got, the pig as well has got AIDS as well. But, you know, I'm going to tell you about them because it was for the case, it was for this and that, it was for that little painting in the background. We'll just go along with it. But now, because I've got a problem with you, now I'll tell you. Just get it out of the way. If in doubt, whip it out. If in doubt, get that cream, do whatever you need to do with it. Very simple as, okay? You know, what's the point dragging things out? You know, if I got hard nipples, I've got hard nipples. It's simple as. Oh, I'm gonna drag it out for months upon months and not say anything, and then finally measure. No, there you go. Hard, solid proof. You want hard evidence? This is the literal definition of hard evidence. Clearly, I don't know why the camera's flickering. I don't think the phone can handle it. But neither could I, to be honest, if I was looking at it. But it's just interesting to monitor what people truly think about one another. And was it always that way? Or did it suddenly become that way? If it became that way in the moment with events, that's fine, that's good. But when it's long term, and then you realise, God, people didn't like you for that long, or people had issues for you for that long, then that can create trust issues of, you know, oh, come across another group, come across another community. How long will that last until it breaks down or disperses or implodes on itself? See, all these issues that are going on are within the case in parallel. That's why it needs to be covered. And what I've analysed and predicted in the past is happening now. Oh, allegiances being pledged and now breaking down suddenly. Birds of a feather flocking together as an upgrade, but then just breaking down so quickly. Fractured, fragmented. It's all happening, and I predicted it early on. As simple as it happens. Obviously, in the meantime, there's still other videos to do. Some deeper ones, important, but or need to spend a little bit of time planning them and getting bits of material to piece it together, there is one key video to like the lake trip. And to be honest, catalyst, because I was the one to do the video in the past, which indirectly brought Caden Pressey and JJ Bumpus together. So we can always relook at that. But one thing what I will say is, what 100, I can't say 100 because I am that one, what about 99% of people never mention or acknowledge is Chandler Pressey. I guess was brother to Caden Pressey. Chandler Pressey is the one in the past that was following my channel. Not seen of them since. They made a couple of comments. They also made a comment about saying, hey, Ref, quit using photos of us. Thing is, the photos were public in the first place. I did nothing wrong, but I respected their wishes early on, right? I don't know where that's gone since. And that was because a photo being used of Elisha, which was a public one, and the reason why a photo had to be used, or should have been used, was for the context of the video. I've not repeated it since because I don't need that backlash, but you can see how things can go about. But it's that defensiveness by one of the Presseys. Hey, quit using this. Don't be using that. Oh, I just come across you. Let's try and work it out. You think of the defensiveness of people, what does that say? Who knows what other cracks will form next, but I did say there could be some turning points along the way. If I do think of any more predictions, I'll add them into a future video. I just wanted to share with you what's going on at this moment, because not everybody may have access to it. So if you did find it interesting, you want to hit the thumbs up or share, that'd be much appreciated. We'll leave it there for now. Appreciate your patience. My name's Ref. Goodbye and good night.